Newly obtained video by Fox 13 sheds light on the terrifying assault inside an Edmonds massage spa 1 month ago. Fox 13's Lauren Donovan has been sifting through hours of body camera footage and surveillance from inside that business.
As she explains, the man seen throwing women to the ground allegedly told Edmonds police officers he intended to kill them and had a knife on him.
You know, it used to be that screaming women was iconic of a Sam Raimi movie. However, over the last couple of years, as these left-wing governments have embraced all these woke criminal justice reforms, what we have come to learn is that screaming women is essentially the default audio that you can insert behind any footage of any left-wing city. And this example out of Washington state, and I know a lot of you are going to assume it's Seattle, but it's actually Edmonds in the state of Washington, is a perfect distillation of that phenomenon. Because what I ultimately ended up discovering about this particular case is that the suspect, the alleged perpetrator of these two attempted murders at a massage parlor, obviously he didn't get his happy ending, is a man who has 33 reported victims, according to a petition that is trying to get the state of Washington to stop going soft on him because he's reportedly homeless or maybe mentally ill, and actually used their 3-strike habitual offender statute. Now again, you guys might be not great at math and you might not realize that a 3-strike law should probably come into play after 3 strikes, not 33, but this is where we're at in the state of Washington, where we have to pretend that these homeless criminals that attack people at random, that go for an attempted murder with no sensible motivation behind it, are actually innocent Baba Angel Aladdins who didn't do nothing wrong, who are just trying to feed their starving family. Well, we are going to disabuse you of that notion by getting into this case, but before we do, I want to thank everybody who pays for my happy endings over at actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
Edmonds police tell me this is one of those cases that raises the hair on the back of your neck, even for the most seasoned detectives. And before we dive back into it, I want to warn you, the content is graphic. The 2 women you are about to see assaulted on camera survived despite broken bones and bruises in a brutal beating.
So Lauren Donovan over at this local Washington affiliate station gives us a bit of a breakdown of the violent nature of this attack. However, it's a bit obscured by the fact that her microphone is placed by her collar and her hair is brushing over the microphone, giving us an unwanted scratchy sound over the mic. In addition to that, I know some of you preverts are expecting me to make comments about how Lauren Donovan is attractive, and while that is 100% true, you guys are not seeing the forest through the trees because this woman's name is actually Lauren Donovan. And if you don't know, Lauren Chen, friend of the channel, married to a man called Liam Donovan, officially took his last name, which means this is actually Lauren Chen, where she ended up after that whole Tenant Media debacle. And if you're wondering why she looks so white right here, this is actually the different makeup look that she's utilizing right now. So make sure you go follow Lauren Chen at this local station. You're not fooling anybody, Lauren. But now let us get into this particular story.
Screams ring out inside an Edmonds massage spa as a violent chase ensues. A terrified masseuse runs from her attacker, all caught on camera. When her coworker tries to help, he knocks her to the ground. The masseuse he's after escapes outside, but that doesn't stop him. He eventually gets a hold of her, and then we see the other woman frantic running across the parking lot for help.
So look, obviously I had to use freeze frames due to the violent nature of this video and due to the fact that YouTube will restrict my channel. However, I do want to highlight a couple of things for you guys out there in the audience, and one of the things that I want to highlight is that there was a woman that was exiting the building across from this massage parlor as one of the masseuses fled and was tackled by this man, who again reportedly told police officers that he wished he had killed them. By the way, he showed up with gloves. He savagely not just physically beat them, but beat them with objects that were present in the particular massage parlor. And in addition to that, he also had a knife on him. So these women were battered, bruised, slashed, had broken bones and whatnot. And this was all apparently with no sensible motivation behind it, which makes sense because when you look at this guy, you find out that he's probably a homeless degenerate, somebody with mental health issues, all the things that maybe should have been used to get him off the street decades ago because he's 48 years old and has been offending for a very long time. And yet the state of Washington, going soft on crime, has decided to, just let him out on the streets. Let's just see what happened. And guess what did happen? 2 women were almost murdered. But that woman across the way who walked out and stumbled onto the scene, she really needs to act a bit faster, call 911, get some evidence together, maybe film it, do something, because you have another masseuse that that is dashing out of the particular massage parlor, but in reality, these people are in desperate need of somebody to call 911 because guess what? They likely could have died without the assistance of law enforcement.
The man who strides back inside Cooley has been identified by authorities as 48-year-old Colin Boswell, and he's facing attempted murder charges. What you're watching has been labeled a targeted attack, and it happened more than a month ago.
So this is a suspect right here, Colin Boswell. I know some of you were likely expecting this to be a black suspect, but in reality, there are other criminals in this nation. There are other repeat offenders. And in my opinion, based on the idea that a bunch of these criminal justice reforms were done because people believe that the criminal justice system is in fact evil, white, and racist, this is another level of failure right here, because you have a white person who shouldn't be able to hide behind the allegations or allegations, as the super mayor would call them,
false allegations and not facts,
of evil white racism working against him, and yet he was somebody who's treated softly, again, according to a change.org petition that is seeking to get justice not just for these two women, but the 33 other victims that this man has left in the wake of his rampant criminal history. And of course, the video is incredibly brutal. They have the surveillance and whatnot, but it also cuts to the body cam where you could see the sorry state of this particular massage parlor after this guy ripped the place apart, again, in order to target these women in what appears to be a pre-planned attempt at double murder.
Edmonds police just released this footage I only got my hands on through a public records request. And it's not just surveillance we're sifting through, but what was captured on body camera as well. In this one, you see a once tranquil space turned upside down.
Yeah, it's like a coat rack.
Upon arriving at Eva Spa on Edmonds Way, investigating officers were told Boswell used that coat rack to brutalize the victims.
So look, Boswell ended up taking off on foot. Again, it does not appear from any of the reports that I've seen that he actually stole anything. I looked at the charges and he may have a burglary in there, but in reality, if you break in or enter a place with intent, or they can say that you had intent, whether or not you take any money or anything of value, that could be charged as a burglary. But of course, the police end up confronting this guy, and honestly, they treat him with the disdain and disrespect that he deserves, ordering him to the ground.
On the ground right now.
Meantime, officers across the street
Keep your hands on the ground.
cornered and apprehended him.
We're coming up.
Later on, we see him in police custody, cuffed to the hood of a squad car, shirtless. His clothes and belongings scattered across the ground by a nearby dumpster.
This is all his stuff? Yep, this is what he had on him. All the blood over? Blood, he has blood on the gloves that he has that for you to take pictures of. We're going to take those. Could have been from his own finger, though. No, it's not. Okay. There's those two women are super bloody.
And then handcuffing him to the bumper of the vehicle. And I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, if you happen to forget that he wasn't in the backseat of the squad car and you drove a little bit, I wouldn't be all that angry. Now, of course, I'm just kidding about that. I actually would be angry because the last thing I would want is for this suspect of all people to have grounds to sue the police department in and around this area. Obviously, we need some serious law enforcement, but we also need the judicial system to follow suit. That's where the main problem is, because if this guy has a criminal history that includes 33 victims, that means he's been arrested multiple times by these police officers, and the issue at hand is with the prosecutor or the judges or whoever is responsible for letting this guy out on the streets time and time again. But again, I want to point out that it is very likely that this massage parlor is being run by minorities, possibly immigrants, and these people are basically sacrificed at the altar of this woke criminal justice system that prioritizes the criminal above the victims.
Both were hospitalized. Boswell's bail set at $1 million.
Now again, based on the way he looks with his shirt off and the face that he's making, based on his mugshot, and of course based on the alleged statements that he supposedly gave to officers about how he should have killed these women, again with no discernible motivation behind that belief, you understand that we are dealing with a dangerous person who shouldn't be on the streets. But again, things are going to get significantly worse because we've seen something in this particular local news report that is all too familiar to all of you who have been watching this channel and listening to me cover the stories that I like to talk about, which is that this man has been arrested repeatedly and doesn't even show up to court. But again, because a bench warrant is not considered serious, even after he's arrested for not showing up to court, he's just released again.
While in the court system, he's proved difficult, failing to appear before a judge at least 6 different times. There's been a competency hearing and questions persist as to his motive.
So yeah, he hasn't shown up for court 6 different times. And again, one of the things that we're going to see is that they have put him through a bunch of hearings that have already been rescheduled, by the way, like 3 or 4 times during this early part of the process in order to assess his mental competency. Now, again, if somebody is mentally unfit for trial, I totally understand the purpose of that defense being utilized, but you can't have them back out on the streets again. Like, this idea that somebody is dangerous, a danger to others, potentially himself, and we decide that that is a free pass on criminality is actually insane in and of itself. Maybe we should put some of the judges and some of the people who are letting this happen over and over again behind bars or in a mental institution, because that is not the proper solution. If you're someone who goes out of your way to target people violently, then there are 2 options. One, we throw you in jail, and if you're mentally unfit, guess what? You have to be locked in a facility where you are forced to get treatment. We don't let you back out just because we temporarily alleviated your mental issues, because when you get back on the streets, these people don't take their medication when they're feeling better, and guess what? They end up lashing out even harder. Again, there is a petition right now from victims of this particular man. There are 33 of them, and how many more times are we going to allow mental health to be used as an excuse to toss this guy back out onto the streets just so he can do it again? One time is too many. We already have 2 attempted murders, and again, over 30 previous victims. We're getting close to 3 dozen victims of this particular perpetrator, and I think enough is enough. Now, of course, they ended up putting him up on $1 million bond. That is great. That is wonderful. Expect that to be reduced later on when people stop paying attention, but as of right now, I support that 100%, but obviously, this can go south as soon as you get to those mental health hearings, because for whatever reason, a lot of these places have decided that deeming somebody mentally unfit for trial somehow means, okay, well, eventually we're just going to rubber stamp his release and we'll just see what happens.
So to help us get closer to answering that, I want to show you this. Surveillance footage inside the establishment from late August, 1 week before, shows Boswell in a mask paying at the register. Nothing violent, but it shows he was indeed a customer and exhibited behavior, a far cry from the scary encounter we just watched together.
So right here, we end up seeing that a little while before this attack, he was actually a customer at this particular massage parlor, and I guess they're using this to establish some kind of link in order to make the attempted murder charges stick. And even though we have multiple different delays in this particular case, I will say it is reported later on by Lauren Chen Donovan, that the trial is actually set for November.
I just checked, and Boswell is still being held in the Snohomish County Jail. He's got a jury's trial set for mid-November.
And I would just hope that these charges ultimately end up sticking in this particular case. But you know what? I don't have a lot of faith in the state of Washington's criminal justice system. And I know I'm a little bit biased based on Kings County and Seattle. But considering this guy, again, has so many previous offenses and we've seen this movie play out 1,000,000 times, I do not expect the best possible outcome, which would be for this guy to be locked away for a very long time. But you know what? Those are just my thoughts. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. As per usual, if you like the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social medias, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about Washington State going absolutely crazy. Till next time.